Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to talk about some of the biggest rumors floating around. Obviously, AEW announced that they bought ROH. So in today's video, we're going to discuss everything from streaming, right? We got the Honor Club app. We also know that there are some big rumors surrounding Cody Rhodes. So I'm going to chime in with my opinions on this. And overall, what to expect with this new purchase for Tony Khan. Very big deal in the wrestling world. My name is Ango. If you guys want more, go ahead and subscribe. Let's talk about Honor Club first. As you guys know, with Tony Khan announcing the purchase of Ring of Honor from Sinclair Broadcasting, everything is going to Tony Khan. So Tony Khan will be in possession of the production equipment, the Honor Club application, pretty much all the intellectual property that this company has. And then obviously within Honor Club comes that extensive and incredibly awesome historical tape library, which is one of the big reasons why I think AEW went after Honor Club, or ROH specifically. Now, one of the things I actually really want to talk about in this video too is there's a lot of rumors floating around that potentially AEW is starting to target other tape libraries, which I think is the right I think it is the right idea for AEW to grow as a business. It is very clear in 2022. It is all about streaming. It's all about television. It's all about content. I will continue to hammer this down on the channel. Content. It's the reason why WWE has such lucrative deals in place with NBC and Disney and Fox and all of these other companies. And I think AEW is going to chase the same bag. Now, there is some belief that AEW may actually rebrand the Honor Club app. I know Meltzer was kind of talking about on the Wrestling Observer. He was talking about some stuff about flat rate pay-per-views and streaming pay-per-views. Now, something I've actually talked about on my Twitter account at the official Ango for years. Since 2019, I talked about how we shouldn't expect pay-per-views to become part of the streaming model. And the reason for this is largely due to two reasons. Whether AEW joins HBO Max or another service, or they take Honor Club and make it its own thing for AEW, one of the big things that people need to understand in this situation is that streaming pay-per-views is not a good business model. We look at ESPN and UFC as a wonderful example. UFC has this amazing streaming rights package with ESPN, which costs, I think, $5 a month, but you still got to pay like $75 for pay-per-view. In fact, UFC actually, their prices for pay-per-views actually increased, and now we're in a situation where this model seems to work. I genuinely believe that whatever AEW decides to do at some point, whether it's this year, next year, 6 years, 20 years from now, I think when they go into this streaming package and they do end up putting pay-per-views on there, I think AEW is going to be a company that offers their pay-per-views for a discounted rate. One of the things that I personally heard was that if AEW and HBO Max do come together, as there are reported rumors of HBO Max getting into live sports to compete with Peacock and ESPN and Disney, if HBO Max were to have this, I think the pay-per-views will be included on the platform, but it's going to be at a discounted rate. So instead of maybe $50 or $60, the pay-per-view would be $29.99 if you're an HBO Max subscriber. Now, obviously, if you're AEW, you're trying to get the bag. So the streaming rights, all of this stuff makes sense. Content is everything. There's rumors of some Joshi promotions possibly giving over their tape library. You know, there's a lot of things that are floating around on the internet. There's nothing really concrete, but, you know, if you start seeing promotions join AEW and the ROH tape library in general, you are building a pretty big content, a content library that I think is just going to be really good and beneficial in the long run. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the streaming stuff works out. But for now, just understand that there are plans to do something with it. And we shouldn't expect too many changes for the pay-per-view stuff until, I'm assuming, by the end of the year. Guys, we got to talk a little bit about what AEW's plans may actually be with ROH, because as you know, ROH is they're a wrestling promotion, and there is this belief that ROH was going to go bye-bye. Well, we know that ROH is coming back from this hiatus during WrestleMania weekend. Now ROH is owned by AEW. Supercard of Honor is reportedly not being canceled. It's also been discussed pretty heavily online, also in our Discord server. A lot of people have been talking about, you know, what is AEW's plans. There's a lot of speculation out here that believe Tony Khan specifically will keep the Ring of Honor brand going. Now, what does this look like right now versus 6 months from now versus a year? Obviously, I'm not an insider in this regard. I don't really have any idea as to what Tony Khan is actually planning. But as time goes on, I do want to chime in more on this. I believe that AEW will keep the Ring of Honor brand going. I also believe that Ring of Honor will have, in fact, television tapings. Now, with AEW buying ROH, we have to kind of think about this TV deal that ROH potentially has. Now, I'm making a bold prediction here. I could very well be wrong, but I think ROH will they'll stay alive. AEW will keep the ROH brand alive. Obviously, you're going to have to split up some rosters. You're going to have to give them a team of wrestlers. Great thing that AEW has done since the pandemic, and this is why it's so incredibly important that AEW respects the industry. They have a lot of talent that were working for them throughout the pandemic on AEW Dark and Dark Elevation. And I think you got to do a roster mix-up. There is this belief that AEW will keep them. There's this possibility that AEW has plans to put ROH on TV. Now, obviously, with AEW having full ownership of Ring of Honor, I think Warner Media, again, based on what I have seen since 2019, Warner Media is building a package right now. They are building this package filled with content as a way to compete with NBC, as a way to compete with Disney, Fox, and all of these other platforms. And I think it is a very big possibility that ROH could very well have television tapings, which is being said. Right now it is being said. There is this major belief, the general consensus is that ROH tapings will continue. Obviously, the ROH roster are all free agents, so I'm sure AEW will have to pick up some of these contracts. Jonathan Gresham, we talked about it on the channel a week or two ago. He was backstage. That was something that Fightful had reported. So my belief is that ROH will actually have its own show on Warner Media. Now, which channel can they have? Obviously, there's a couple different channels. There were rumors for a while that Warner Media was looking at having wrestling on True TV. Obviously, AEW was moved to TNT and TBS. I believe at this rate that True TV could become the TV partner. This is a bold prediction that I'm making, but I think in the next 6 months, we will see something happen there. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because it kind of ties into the Cody Rhodes stuff. There was an exclusive report that was dropped by Slice Wrestling. And of course, you know, when it comes to the rumors and stuff, when I talk about it on the channel, I try to offer some perspective based on what I'm seeing. This is my analysis. Now, what was really interesting is Slice Wrestling mentioned something very specific, which I think it makes a lot of sense. Slice says, initially, Cody Rhodes did in fact touch base with WWE and was sending out a feeler to gauge how much interest Vince McMahon would have signing him. The reality is Cody Rhodes was using any interest from WWE as a bargaining chip in negotiations with AEW and Tony Khan. Now, if you follow this channel, I have covered the rumors extensively for years. One of the big things was Randy Orton reportedly did the same thing to Tony Khan and AEW when his contract was expiring to try to get more money from WWE. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because perhaps this stuff was never actually a work, but perhaps AEW has found themselves in a situation where now Cody Rhodes could come back to the company, and because he wants that creative freedom, because he wants that ability to be an EVP and have this power, right, reportedly, perhaps Cody Rhodes does run ROH. Now, we don't know if that's part of the plans, but Slice Wrestling did mention that Tony Khan would like to bring back Cody Rhodes under the AEW umbrella. This is what one source close to the situation put, and it seems to be some movement and hope that Tony Khan announced. Now that Tony Khan has announced he is the new owner of ROH. Some insiders believe Cody Rhodes may in fact have a hand helping a relaunch of ROH in some fashion, and this would obviously allow Tony Khan to give Cody Rhodes some creative power. If this is what you're doing, if you're putting AEW versus ROH, I'm all about it. If ROH comes to True TV, I'm all about it. But the major thing that I need everybody to know here is like the ROH brand is not dying. And what better way to save this company than have a guy who actually loves wrestling run it? I look forward to see what Tony Khan could do with ROH. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below.